This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
So the Game Awards just happened and a lot of really cool games were announced. Elden Ring, Night Rain, The Witcher 4, a new Naughty Dog game called Intergalactic, Borderlands 4, a sequel to Okami, and Catly, touted as an open-world cat MMO where you can customize and play as a cat and their owner. The premise sounded intriguing, but the trailer was... well, it was bizarre to say the least. The disorienting visuals, nonsensical story, and total lack of gameplay led many to accuse the game of using generative AI in its trailer. The Steam page for the game describes it as, quote, a cat open world with beautiful cats, hyperrealism, actions, cuddle, speed, islands, fashion, dreams, snow, robots, plants, all with and via cats. And the game's website looks like this. So what the hell is Catly, and how did a game that's been described as AI slop get a prestigious spot at the Game Awards? Today let's take a look at Catly, the cat open world with beautiful cats. Before we get into things, I just want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace has thousands of gorgeous and versatile website templates which you can then customize, update content, and add features to fit your needs. Unlock your creativity with Fluid Engine, the next generation website editor from Squarespace. Choose your website starting point and customize every detail with reimagined drag and drop technology for desktop or mobile. Stretch your imagination online with Fluid Engine included in any new Squarespace site. There are so many amazing features for small businesses too. Whether you sell physical or digital products, Squarespace has the tools that you need to start selling online or while looking sleek, slick, and professional. Make checkout seamless for your customers with simple and powerful payment tools. Credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, customers can even have the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. And those are just a few examples of all of the amazing things that Squarespace can do for you. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/izzies to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The Game Awards, established in 2014, is an annual award show that celebrates the best and most innovative games of the year from a wide variety of categories, like Most Anticipated Game, Best Score in Music, Best Role-Playing Game, and more. And then there's the prestigious Game of the Year award, which went to Astrobot this year. Kinda controversial, but I thought Astrobot was great, so I'm not mad. This is what happens when PlayStation actually releases games. The Game Awards also announces a bunch of new and upcoming games, shining a light on anticipated AAA releases and indie hopefuls alike, and this is where Catly comes in. I'm gonna play most of the trailer, it's only like 50 seconds long or so, but I just want you to keep in mind while you're watching this was played alongside trailers for the new Elden Ring and Borderlands and Witcher. Just keep that in mind while you're watching. Trying to follow what's going on in this fever dream of a trailer is a difficult task to say the least. There's cats, they're in a big pink room, there's explosions of confetti and lots of falling over, and there's like an evil cat. There's a lot of very detailed texture and lighting effects which look fairly impressive, but a close-up of a cat's fur or the light bouncing off its eye does not a good trailer make. There's no actual gameplay here, and the trailer does very little to explain what the mechanics are or what features it has. So yeah, the trailer is whack, but is it AI? I don't necessarily think so. Over the last few years, AI video technology has improved, and I'm doing quotation marks for those of you who are listening while like doing the dishes, but it hasn't evolved to the point where you can make a consistent 1-minute video without it morphing and blobbing and AIing everywhere. Even though the trailer has that distinctive fuzzy dreamy AI sheen to it, the animations themselves are fairly consistent. I think it's likely that the trailer may have been based on images and concepts that were generated with AI, but the environments and animations themselves look like they were made by humans, mainly because the cat's limbs aren't flat flying everywhere and they aren't growing 2 tails and 10 ears. However, a few shots in the trailer do raise alarm bells. This one with a still image of the cat and its owner swapping outfits looks kinda sus, and at the end of the trailer a bunch of images fly at the screen, many of which would look right at home in an AI-powered cat NFT project. There's been a lot of back and forth over whether this trailer is AI, and personally I'm not 100% confident in saying it is, only that it has suspicious elements. In the wake of the Game Awards and all of the discourse about whether the game was AI or whether it was even real or not, Super Authentico, the developers of Catly, spoke out. From IGN, quote, "In a statement shared with IGN, a PR representative authorized to speak on behalf of developer Super Authenti said that generative AI was not used to produce the trailer nor the game." The PR representative also showed IGN a version of the trailer from the Game Awards that showed in-progress shots interspersed alongside the final version, which did seem to confirm that the trailer itself was not AI generated. Additionally, the PR representative said that the other allegations suggesting that Catly was a blockchain game were similarly unfounded. They said that there has been zero blockchain technology involved in Catly or the company behind it, Super Authenti, and similarly there are no NFTs. Our company and project has never issued any blockchain currency and any NFTs. Our company does not and has never owned any blockchain currency and NFTs. Basically, Super Authentico has absolutely denied all of these allegations, claiming that the game has nothing to do with crypto, blockchain, NFT, or AI technology. Which seems to put a neat little bow on the whole story, right? Well, no, because at least from all the research that I've done while making this video, Super Authentico's statement is just an outright lie. In my opinion, allegedly in Minecraft, you know, all that. Let me explain. So Catly's website and Steam page are hot messes. The Steam page description for Catly reads, "A cat open world with beautiful cats, hyperrealism, actions, cuddles, speed, island, fashion, dreams, snow, robots, plants, all with and via cats." Most of the images included are screenshots from the trailer, but there are a few unique images. A futuristic blob-shaped house with a cat sitting on a shore looking out to an ocean under a purple aurora, one of the cats from the trailer against a plain white background, a greenhouse garden with a cat's tail in the foreground, and an aerial shot of well, honestly, I don't know what the hell this is. The About This Game section of the Steam page is confusing and nonsensical. Step into an enchanting dream where humans and cats forge the ultimate bond. Collect stories and chase memories through the eyes of both human and cat. Embark on playful escapades, craft cozy havens, explore vibrant landscapes, plant, laugh, race, decorate, create, steer robots, dress up, mingle, cuddle, groom. Heartwarming delights await in a tale of breathtakingly beautiful cats. Run to the rescue with cats. Peace will follow. A canvas of dreams unfold. A magical cat playground awaits. Majesty in fur. Majestic in fur. Every strand is a masterpiece crafted to perfection. Imagine and love. A cat fantasy home of wonder, infinite fun and imagination. Every leap, every bounce, every nuzzle is a faith of boundless joy. Every courageous leap, no matter the fall, lands in the arms of loved ones. A bold new frontier. Oops. A big slap? Some real tough love. Beyond runways, style is stitched in the bond among cats and their guardians. Together they craft a world of wonder and community. Scrolling through the Steam tags is all pretty standard, you know, cats, open world, simulation, family friendly, third person shooter, and artificial intelligence? About a week after the Game Awards, and presumably following all of the mockery towards the garbled mess of keywords that was the old Steam page, it was suddenly updated with a ton of new information and real gameplay footage. The random keywords in the description are gone, replaced by an actual summary of the game, which promises building, pet care, customization, and skiing? As we know, behind every great MMO is a great skiing mechanic. The About section has also been totally overhauled, with the GIFs now gone and replaced by a plain text list of features. Explore a seamless open world. The game offers an online mode where official servers allow players from around the world to explore and collaborate together in a 3D open world. Rescue and adopt cats you encounter in the Catly world. Bring them home and create a warm, cozy haven together. Care for them, feed and play to strengthen your bond, unlocking new abilities and becoming the closest of companions. Build connections with the locals, meet various island residents and cats, help them solve challenges and grow your bond with them. As your relationships deepen, unlock new island areas and get rare tools. A thriving farm life. Enjoy the harvest through your hard work. Plant crops and fruit trees, fish, and dive for resources to support your island's development. Cat adventures and cooperation. Step into an adventure with your cats or team up with your friends' cats to take a variety of fun challenges. Traveling with exciting vehicles. Each cat has its own strengths, offering unique advantages during different challenges. So Catly appears to be jumping on the cozy game bandwagon with an emphasis on collecting, farming, fishing, and gardening. There are a lot of different ambitious features thrown in the mix, like a multiplayer open world, pet care, quests, and some sort of Pokemon-esque cat system where they each have strengths and abilities they can use in different situations, and there's also skiing. There's a lot going on, and not that a game of this scope can't be done, not that a game with these features can't be done, just that it's ambitious. So let's see the long-awaited gameplay screenshots that were uploaded to the Steam page. After all, a lot of the complaints leveled at the game was that it was just a cinematic trailer with no gameplay shown, so let's take a look. It's certainly a game. It's a video game of some description, that's for sure. We can see the gameplay in action in their new trailer, and in contrast to the sleek, hyper-realistic graphics shown off in the Game Awards trailer, this gameplay looks like a cat mod for Second Life or like Imvu. It has this kind of cheap, gaudy quality to it, the realistic Unreal Engine environments littered with abstract shapes, neon colors, and those tacky futuristic decorations you see in metaverse games. The cat animations look fine, pretty good, if not a little stiff and laggy at times. I think if the game was set in like a forest or a city, cat fans, specifically warrior cat fans, would be all over this game. I mean, a game where you can customize and play as a cat and explore an open world and jump and climb and swim and fish and hunt and build your own base. Nerdy tween girls have been asking for a game like this since forever, and I know that for a fact because I was that. But instead, any cool cat customization and mechanics are tainted by this weird off-putting NFT tech bro aesthetic. These slick white mansions, blobby orb houses, the big puffy furniture, the 10,000 lighting and glow and occlusion effects on the screen at once to make the game look kind of better than it is. And while it's nice to see some actual gameplay, even if it does look a little rough around the edges at the moment, we don't get to see half of what's been promised. There's cat customization and cats walking around and emoting in a few pretty looking environments, but we're still not really shown the actual gameplay. I want to see the fishing mechanics, I want to see how players switch between their human characters and their cats, I want to see quests and dialogue, I want to see how the open world works, what the map looks like. Maybe they have all of this up their sleeve waiting to release it like they did with the gameplay itself, or maybe they have nothing and are just stalling until they can actually make the game they promised, who knows at this point. There's an announcement on the Steam page linking to pre-orders for Catly on Apple Watch because the game is available on Apple Watch for some unknown reason. The App Store page for the game is, I seem to have lost my train of thought. The screenshots seem to depict some sort of daily pet care gameplay, however the page also says this content may change without notice in the The final product may be different, so who knows what the hell Catly for Apple Watch will actually look like when it launches. Redefining companionship with beautiful, beautiful cats. Oh, Catly, you have such a way with words. Catly also has a Twitter account. It's pretty new, but there are a few interesting posts here. Temperamental, fierce, drawn from the exotic short hair with pink fur and mesmerizing eyes. Chic, with an edge. Hashtag Catly, hashtag exotic short hair. Cat plus fashion, with an image that looks, you know, like, what is this lump of fur doing here in the middle? What are these giant mop paws blending into the glass? The hair is going everywhere, even behind the cape. The mouth and whiskers look kinda wonky too. But, you know, Catly said their game wasn't associated with AI, so, you know, that can't be it, right? Despite the game still being in a very early stage, they've already done a number of branded partnerships with popular internet influencers, including Ninja, all using hashtag PR or hashtag Catly partner. But what's this community note down here? This game is made by a company that works with crypto and NFTs. The game also features AI-generated imagery. Alright, it's time to fully talk about the AI stuff, and to do that we have to talk about Super Authentico, the developers of Catly, and also that name is just hilariously ironic in this case. While I'm not convinced that the trailer contains AI content, that doesn't mean that Catly is totally innocent of the AI accusations. Far from it, in fact. You know, allegedly. A lot of the information I'll be covering in this next section comes from a Reddit post made by the user NatChem, who has done a ton of research into Catly and its devs. I know it's Reddit, but all of the claims made in this post are backed up with sources, so I'm pretty confident in its validity. A huge thank you to the user NatChem for compiling this information. Go check out their Reddit post, I'll link it in the description. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, for example these images which have been deleted off of the official Catly website. Unlike other promotional images used in the marketing campaign, these ones are pretty rough around the edges, showing very clear signs of AI tomfoolery. This cat has uneven fur markings and one pupil which is bigger than the other. I have no clue what's going on with this cat's nostril, and in several images its whiskers are bleeding into its fur and bending in strange wavy formations. The jowls and pupil sizes are asymmetrical here as well. The black and orange cat is maybe the worst example. Again, the nose and jowls are asymmetrical, and this front paw is a mangled AI mess if I ever saw one. That seems to be pretty damning proof that AI has been used, at least in some capacity, on this project, because no human-made 3D model would look like this. There's just no way. There's also this glowing endorsement from Thomas Vu, the producer of Arcane, and sorry to any Arcane fans out there, but Vu is a prominent angel investor in several GameFi, NFT, and crypto projects. But again, this is all circumstantial and it doesn't really prove anything. However, there are several proven links between Super Authentico, the developers of Catly, and AI and crypto projects. Prior to adopting the name Super Authentico, the company went by the name Shanghai Binmao Technology, and they published a mindful gardening app called Plantly, which funnily enough uses the exact same font as Catly. Some of the imagery, specifically the greenhouse, also looks pretty similar to promotional images for Catly, though this could definitely just be a coincidence. The description for the app reads in part, "Your plants are not just digital tokens but emotional mementos. Share the joy of growing plants with loved ones and embark on a calming, nurturing journey together." So it seems that Plantly's gameplay tied in with NFT and blockchain technology. As the smoking gun, a resume was found for a developer who worked for Shanghai Binmao Technology. According to this resume, she worked as a game content designer on a quote metaverse game about cats called Catly. Additionally, one of the founders of Super Authentico previously co-founded a game studio called 10th Planet, which worked on several metaverse blockchain games. Two of their most ambitious games were Mech Angel, an open-world NFT RPG inspired by Genshin Impact, and Alien Meow, described as a digital cat life simulation metaverse. The 10th Planet website is gone now, but from an archived version on the Wayback Machine we can see an early image of Alien Meow, which looks very similar in style to Catly. Super Authentico has firmly denied any claims that Catly is related to crypto, NFT, or AI technology, and that's fine. I just don't believe them. Scrubbed images from their website show clear signs of generative AI. The company itself has suspiciously little presence online, and the presence they do have links them to a number of crypto and NFT games. They were previously working on a digital cat simulation metaverse and a crypto token gardening app called Plantly. They seem to have meshed these two ideas together to form Catly, an open world cat MMO with cozy game elements including gardening. And if all of that wasn't enough, the game has been explicitly listed as a metaverse metaverse game on a developer's resume. So here's what I think may have happened, and keep in mind this is just a game theory, take it with a big chunk of salt. Back in 2022, the co-founder of 10th Planet was working on two big metaverse games, Mech Angel and Alien Meows, neither of which have ever come out. 10th Planet's website is also gone, so it's safe to assume that the company has either dissolved or gone dormant for the time being. However, when they eventually went on to co-found Super Authentico, these ideas were still ruminating. They combined the concept of an open-world cat metaverse with another game that had been scrapped, Plantly, a cozy gardening app with crypto elements. They combined the ideas, switched the name and logo a little, and voila, Catly was born. I think that Catly, at least in its early development, was planned to be a metaverse game, a game that stood firmly in the crypto space, a game that embraced AI technology. The developers had a clear interest in the GameFi space, several investors and supporters of the project did as well. That's why Catly looks like that. It's not just a cat MMO where you can run around a forest and build cute cottages and houses, it's a cat MMO where you build the types of houses that crypto bros imagine living in with their AI robot girlfriends in the year 2050. You know what I'm saying? It just has that look to it, So with all of these very clear connections to the NFT, crypto, GameFi, blah 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 spaces, how did Catly get such a prestigious spot at the Game Awards? Well, one theory is that it all goes back to those #Catly partners. One of the influencers they paid to promote the game is Felicia Day, who works as an advisor at Griffin Gaming Partners, who, if you dig through their website, you can discover are active supporters of Super Authentico and also happen to have a pretty sizable portfolio of NFT and crypto gaming investments. But this, as well as their connections to Ninja, Pokimane, Thomas Vu, and more, really illustrates that they have quite a lot of connections to some pretty popular people in the gaming space. And connections are important if, say, you want a spot at a prestigious award show in the chosen industry that you're in. Again, this is just a theory, so grain of salt. But now that Catly has all of this media attention from the Game Awards and also their own controversy, who knows what they'll do with it? Maybe we'll all be proven wrong and the game won't have any connection to AI or NFT technology whatsoever when it launches, and it never will. That would be a nice surprise. Or maybe it'll eventually pivot towards the crypto space once the initial hype dies down and the player numbers start to decline. Only time will tell what kind of game Catly will be, and maybe I'll be proven wrong and in a year's time everyone will be walking around with their Apple Watches playing Catly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love to know what you guys think of Catly. Do you think it's AI? Do you think that it's not at all?
We've talked about a lot of different kinds of lost media on the channel before, because lost media comes in all different shapes and sizes. There are the topics that everyone knows about, then the fan favorites, and of course, the really bizarre stuff that catches the eye simply for how strange it is. While I don't cover this kind of lost media too often, last year was really my first dive into the area of really weird and awkward looking shows that make you question why on earth they even exist or were made in the first place. And to my surprise, I happened to come across a pretty large variety of equally bizarre, and in some cases even more bizarre, pieces of lost media that I just have to talk about for that fact. Some of these topics were requests from you guys, and others were just weirdness I stumbled on while searching for other things. So with that said, let's get into the weirdness with the first topic that really reignited my whole interest in these kinds of strange searches. Sometimes it seems like when you purposely go out of your way to find weird topics, you never come across them, and it's only when you least expect it when they show up. This one takes us to one of my recent live streams, where the viewers will often request that I go read certain articles on the Lost Media Wiki and discuss them with everyone. Well, this topic that was requested was so strange it left me laughing. I had to research the topic further and spread the word about this entirely lost series from Uruguay, called Don't Bother Me Mosquito in English. This show is a 2004 CGI series developed by Animalata and follows two mosquitoes named John and Paul who constantly target a man named Joe Bigman with their antics, as Joe tries endlessly to squash them once and for all. A total of 26 episodes were released for the series, each one spanning 5 minutes in length. But I'm sure most of you have actually come across this topic before from a completely different place. I had never heard about this existing until my stream informed me of it, but apparently a band named Loco Loco released 2 music videos that featured clips from this series in them, titled Mosquito and It Burns Burns Burns. These have become well-known memes online, and is where the mosquitoes gained their popularity from. However, what you might not have known is that these music videos contain some of the only footage of the show that's still around today. The Lost Media Wiki article does have an episode chart that can be viewed as a reference for how much of the series is lost, and according to the chart, literally every single episode from the series is missing. In fact, the series is so lost, the latter half of the episode titles aren't even known. But the titles of the known episodes do come from Animalata's official website from the Wayback Machine, so we can confirm those as being official. But what's even more interesting is the offer listed on the top of that page. According to the website, it says that each episode script is fully developed, but available only on request of the full series Bible. I'm sure nobody has ever reached out to this company before to get those scripts, but if they had, we'd at least have some of the content from the episodes, instead of almost nothing at all. But what's even more notable here is the existence of that pitch Bible, which would be the earliest interpretation of the series that exists. This has probably never been seen before, and I'm sure no part of it has ever been posted. With a Google search, it looks like Animalata is still around, and lists It Burns 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 on their website, so this is the same company. I wonder if they would have any of the actual episodes in an archive, in addition to that pitch Bible after all these years. Additionally, the lore of the show is further added to with one of the only pieces of content we actually have from it, a collection of images that were ripped from a promotional CD. These are comedy gold, and it makes me think they were intended to be used on greeting cards or to send each other in emails. A lot of them have commonly used sayings on them, but if you look through them all, it illustrates the battle between the mosquitoes and Joe Bigman, along with showing the relationship status of the two mosquitoes themselves. I guess the tall one really dislikes the short one, while the short one simps for the taller one. There's also this hilarious shot of one of them taking aim at the rear end of a female character, which is just a hilariously awkward piece. The Get Lost one also hits home a little for me, since it feels like the tall mosquito is casting a despicable aura that prevents lost media from being found. Maybe he's the reason why we can't get a copy of Me and My Friends. Overall, this is a really strange show in both visual appearance and rarity, but with the popularity the meme maintained, I wouldn't be surprised if more people end up finding new content from it out of appreciation for the meme. For all you dub fans out there, here's a topic that is so visually unappealing, at least to me anyway. When I first saw it, I thought it was completely made up. This was an article I had never come across before until it was requested that I look it up on stream. And the visuals looked so awful I actually thought it was a troll just to get my live reactions when I saw it for the first time. But no, that's not true at all. Apparently it's a completely real show that was somehow popular enough to get several international dubs, one of which has remained elusive and unreleased onto home media for all these years. I would be surprised if anyone told me they grew up watching this show, but I suppose it's possible given its wide release, as well as total episode count. This is called X Duck X, a French comedy cartoon about ducks playing sports that was released in 2001 and co-produced by 7 different companies. It follows 2 anthropomorphic ducks named Slacks and Gizta who participate in a variety of extreme sports and are apparently so good they quickly encounter a rival named JT Thrash, who is constantly plotting against them to get first place. I guess the X in the title is in reference to the extreme sports that are played in each episode. And comparing that to some screenshots we have, it definitely seems to be that way. The animation looks really wild, the designs are a little gross looking, and overall, it just has that weirdly abstract style to it. I guess it really is an extreme kind of cartoon. Originally, the series broadcast its complete 78-episode count in France on the channel France 3 and Fox Kids, before making its debut on Super RTL in Germany and ABC Network in Australia. But this is where the mystery begins, because like I mentioned before, those worldwide broadcasts means different dubs had to be made, and that leads us to the lost media. Unlike Don't Bother Me Mosquito, where we only have a few visuals to work with, in addition to these screenshots, we actually have every episode from the series available in one language as far as I can tell, that one being Russian. For some reason, the show got a complete series release on DVD in Russia, and an image of that can even be seen online. However, the other dubs weren't so lucky with their release, including the most desired of the bunch, English. The German dub did see a DVD release for episode 1 to 39. However, the remaining 40 to 78 were missing from that. Though over the years, it seems like almost all of the German episodes have found their way onto YouTube from home recordings, but there are still a few that appear to be missing. As for the original French version, that one seems to be missing almost in its entirety. I couldn't even find any specific playlist that had French episodes in it. Considering there was no DVD release for that region, it's probably in the same hard-to-find spot as the English dub, which currently, only 6 of the 78 English episodes are available. These came from 2 different YouTube accounts that had English episodes recorded on VHS tapes, and that's likely how the remaining English episodes will be found at all. So in total, the entire series is available in Russian, only a few episodes are missing in German, 6 have been found in English, and French seems to be just as rare as English, though I couldn't find any full uploads for that. I even searched for the French name of the series on YouTube, thinking some hidden playlist would come up, but nothing did. With the exception of the Russian dub having been uploaded in full from the DVD release, the majority of the episodes that have been recovered from the wild are from the German dub, so it must have been pretty popular over there, despite not having a complete series DVD release. For the next topic on the list, let's talk about a bizarre lost video game, since there are a lot of lost games that are considered strange or weird. In fact, there are a lot of released games that are considered strange or weird, but it's for the fact that this one never came out, which makes it particularly interesting, especially since it looks like it got really far into its build. But unlike what you might be expecting out of a weird lost video game topic, this isn't some obscure Mario title or a game series you've even heard about before, and instead, it's something you might know from a cell phone marketing campaign. Back in the mid and late 2000s, if you watched channels like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, chances are you came across ads for singing CGI characters that you could get as ringtones on your phone by texting a number. These are from a company called Jamba, known as Jamster in the US, and were really popular during the time the ads were being played on TV, and have been able to maintain a well-known online status nowadays. If you have no idea what I'm talking about though, the most popular of the Jamster characters include Schnufflebunny, Molly, and of course Crazy Frog. So even if you've never seen these guys before, you've probably heard about them somewhere. Now, for the most part, the Jamster characters didn't exist that much outside of the cell phone ads, with the exception of some merchandise and CD releases of their songs. But maybe that wouldn't have been the case if a cancelled PS2 game based on some of the characters had released. This is Jamster All-Stars, a 2007 adventure platformer game that was going to be developed by Mercury Games. According to the website that used to exist promoting the game, the plot had the Jamster All-Stars making their way through a series of challenges to discover who has stolen all the musical notes, so that they can continue to make ringtones. It's a pretty basic story and gameplay style for a game like this, but it fits well with other kinds of games from this genre back in the day. However, what was most confusing to me about the whole project is that it omits their most popular characters, Schnufflebunny, Molly, and Crazy Frog. At first I thought that was just poor decision making during development, but apparently, Schnufflebunny and Molly didn't even exist when the game was being made in the mid-2000s. They didn't come out until the years following. It could also be for this reason that the game was cancelled, as it's been stated the cancellation came from the result of Jamster's low popularity at the time, and it wouldn't be revived until Schnufflebunny's release. However, Crazy Frog was apparently in the game, seemingly as a secret character, based on a low-quality screenshot from the official website that was found on a Japanese blog. Apparently, this says, Crazy Frog has stolen all of the music from the magical musical world. But that's all we know about Crazy Frog's involvement in the game, and this is one of the only pieces of content we have from the website at all. An interactive website was made to promote the game in the late 2000s, but needed a file named jamsitev02 SWF to operate, and that wasn't archived by the Wayback Machine, so most of the assets from the site are inaccessible. But the website was not the only way the game was promoted. A couple articles were written about it and detailed its upcoming release back in 2007, so we do have a little more content to see. Here we get to check out some of the level designs and characters standing in each of them. The characters were said to have special abilities and could be swapped between at any point in the level. There were also 12 different levels in 3 different environments, with some of the levels being the home stages for the characters. With the exception of this content that's been collected over the years, there isn't anything else we have from it, or can use to play the game itself. It's speculated that there might have been a full trailer posted to the website, but we can't access that, so it's not known. It's also not known if a playable version of the game even still exists anymore. The game itself had apparently pushed back its release date from September to November at one point, so it's not entirely clear how finished it was in the first place to get that delay. Its developer, Mercury Games, has also gone out of business since its cancellation, so the only chance at getting this unearthed for all the PS2 era platformer fans would be to find old Mercury Games employees and hope that one of them still has a build wherever those assets might be. The next topic I want to talk about is maybe one of the most unnecessary and most unwanted pieces of media of all time, so the fact that it was ever being planned at all is really an enigma. In fact, some people online go as far to say it's a good thing this never came out simply for the fact of how poorly it would have been, and for how much people would have disliked it. Though nowadays there's a whole market for awful looking content, so maybe in that way it's a bit unfortunate this one was never finished. Anyway, this series that this piece of lost media is based around is maybe more surprising than the fact that this content was going to be made at all, and that series is Elf Bowling. Now, it's weird to think about myself feeling nostalgic for this game, considering it's not the kind of thing I would have been interested in playing, but for some reason, my grandparents had this game on their old Windows XP computer back in the day, and us kids loved playing it. So you can imagine my surprise when I found out that there's a CGI movie based on the game that was made back in 2007, which went straight to DVD as you could expect and was universally hated by everyone. I've never seen the movie before, but just from looking at the quality of its screenshots, I'm not surprised people dislike it so much. But would you believe that even for as poorly as the first movie did, a sequel was being made, and that's where the lost media for this series comes from. In the summer of 2007, a few months before the first Elf Bowling movie would be released, a sales promo containing the trailer of the film was uploaded to YouTube, which was used to pitch the film to distributors and shows an official intro card as well. However, at the end of the trailer, right before it ends, the narrator announces that coming in 2007, a sequel movie would be releasing titled Elf Bowling 2: The Great Halloween Pumpkin Heist. Nothing else related to this sequel is shown in the trailer, with the exception of this one screen with the logo, and after that, it was never seen again. If it wasn't for its mention in this trailer, we'd have no idea it was even being planned at all. But if we take a closer look at its development, it becomes even more unclear how early on in its production the movie was cancelled. The date listed in the sales promo as to when this piece itself was finalized is April 2006, with the announcement for the second movie to come out in fall 2007. So it seems that the first movie, which came out in fall 2007, was originally supposed to be released earlier and could have been finished long before its deadline. This would have given the animators more time to work on the sequel movie, resulting in content from it having been made. But then by the time the Christmas movie did see release and given its reviews, maybe the studio halted production on the sequel and cancelled it right there, leaving us with no additional content. While we don't know for sure if the delay in the first movie's release could have been the result of production issues or trying to find distributors, I'm guessing that something beyond this one announcement from over a year prior was probably made in between, but we don't know for sure because no other content from it has resurfaced. There hasn't even been any other mention about it from the studio or animators or anything that's publicly known. When I first looked into the topic, I thought it was going to be one of those intentionally poor budget films that get sequel after sequel just for the sake of making them. But now it seems like there was actually some kind of reason why everything got delayed and cancelled. In fact, they even got Tom Kenny to voice in the movie. That's kinda cool. Still, the whole concept is weird, and I'm sure even with a more advanced studio, it probably still wouldn't have been great to watch, but there seems to be more here than just what the articles tell. So maybe within time, more interest in its content will lead to new finds. Who would have thought that we'd actually have pieces of lost media from Brazil in this video? But I have another topic that I wanted to include for its absurdity, and that old feeling from the early 2000s that every popular series or fad was somehow connected to a larger malicious plan from the corporate overlords. A really common example of this is how Pokemon constantly fought with religion here in the States, but in Brazil there was a similar battle raging over another series like Pokemon where you collect monsters. That one being Yu-Gi-Oh! Just like here in the US, Yu-Gi-Oh! Became a huge hit in Brazil when it released in 2003, both the anime and the card game itself. Of course, the cards are mostly what drove the success of the series, because you could buy them, play the game, and trade them with friends. I remember back in elementary school, they put a ban on the game entirely because it was a distraction for kids who played it, and it led to many arguments on the playground from angry kids who felt like they got ripped off in trade deals. Anyway, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a similar battle to Pokemon when it came to religious groups, because of fears over the cards themselves and what they depict. Most notably, claims of there being references to the devil or satanic symbolism. And as a result of all this hysteria over the cards, a TV program called Good Evening Brazil decided to capitalize on the craze and run a segment that discussed how evil these cards supposedly were. According to the Lost Media Wiki thread about this topic, the host of the broadcast, Gilberto Barros, went on to discuss how the card game is connected to Satanism, occultism, and the Yakuza. Additionally, a Reddit thread that recollected the broadcast even mentioned how they showed a clip of Dragon Ball claiming to be from Yu-Gi-Oh! And showed a scene where a villain controlled Gohan and made him attack Goku, of which the news segment claimed the cards led players to attack their parents. This is such a bizarre scare tactic that's classic of that early 2000s era, and it's for that wackiness that people want to watch the whole segment. But unfortunately, you can't, and this is where the mystery begins. Apparently when this broadcast first aired, it spread around in church communities and the internet back in the day, and you can even find videos of kids destroying their cards, a possible side effect that the widespread of the broadcast had in itself. However, nobody can find a copy of that actual broadcast, and nobody in the community seems to have it either. We know that the program was made by a company called TV Bandeirantes, also known as Band, who is still around today. However, Good Morning Brazil ended in 2006, so it's not known where exactly the recordings or archives of that show are, and it's been a very long time since the show ended. Though the Lost Media Wiki thread did mention that there have been users who claim to have a copy of the recording, but none have shown up, and I'm guessing these claims were never proven to be legit either. Currently, the only visual we have from the news report is a single screenshot of Gilberto in the center of the frame, with text beneath that reads, "Meet the cards of the devil called Yu-Gi-Oh!" Brazilian lost media is definitely growing in popularity compared to years ago, so I would be surprised if this one stays missing for too much longer, especially if more awareness is spread about it. And with that said, those are some of the most bizarre lost media topics I've come across since the last time we talked about others in the same category. I'm sure there are so many more topics like this that are out there that most people would never come across. Let me know if you have a really strange or weird topic you'd like me to cover, and I'll see about making another follow-up video. It's kind of fun taking a break from the main topics every now and then, to explore something we'd never come across otherwise, and to get some laughs out of them as well. But until more of these weird topics can be unearthed from dedicated supporters of them, they'll definitely remain a mystery. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn. It goes without saying that, given the nature of lost media and the desirability of content that people might be sitting on, the community has had its fair share of hoaxes or otherwise false information that's run amok in different searches over the years. While we do still see stunts like this nowadays, it usually pertains to trolls or stuff that can easily be debunked. But believe it or not, when the community was smaller, and when people didn't have as high of a guard when it comes to fake content as they do now, people could get away with a lot more, and those stories have become memories within the community. Today I'd like to cover some infamous hoaxes, some newer and some older, that relate to topics people became obsessed with at the time of their publicity. The first topic of the video is one that I remember making me quite upset back when it first came about, simply because of how much misinformation it was spreading, and how badly it fooled so many people into believing this was real lost content. Now, if you've searched for SpongeBob on YouTube before, or even online or a wiki, chances are you've come across some kind of fan content from it, whether that be a supposed lost episode, some sort of creepypasta channel error, or any number of things like that. And in most of these cases, it's pretty clear that it's just a fan creation, or something that is so totally outside of what SpongeBob would do, it couldn't possibly be real. However, that line got extremely blurry back in 2021, when a couple channels popped up on YouTube, seemingly out of nowhere, and uploaded content they claimed was from SpongeBoy Ahoy, an earlier lost version of SpongeBob that had been kept hidden from the public for all these years. The main focus of SpongeBoy Ahoy content that was being released included voice lines, storyboards, and character art that supposedly depicted a slightly altered and changed version of the show we all came to know. Not only that, but occasionally you would even come across something as amazing as an early bumper for the show that was supposedly never aired on Nickelodeon, or even an animated intro to the show that was claimed to be sourced from an old grainy VHS tape. Upon first glance, and to the casual SpongeBob fan, a lot of this stuff seemed legit, and these channels were uploading so much content you had to question where it was all coming from, or what the source of it was. The descriptions and claims made in them were all telling a believable story, and stayed in character as they crafted this earlier iteration of the series. Honestly, some of this content was so impressive at the time, even I questioned if all of it was really fake, or if there were ounces of authentic material buried within copycat uploaders who were just memeing along. And technically that is true. A lot of the content from SpongeBoy Ahoy did exist in a different form. Most notably, the images and visuals were taken from real Nickelodeon documents that outlined the pitch for the series. But the vast majority of what was being presented to us in this altered way was completely and outright fake. SpongeBoy Ahoy was something along the lines of an ARG that played into this idea of an alternate take on SpongeBob's production, and like I said, reused and edited early materials that few people have probably come across before, at least if you're not a big SpongeBob fan. And what this ended up doing was convincing the masses that this was genuine lost media being found. The epidemic of this topic even got so bad that we dedicated a whole segment to it, warning people about the fakes on a live stream. Furthermore, stating that fake lost media was really rampant back during this era. One of the comments even mentioned that the channels claimed it was directly part of an ARG, but that there really was no ARG connected to it, so that it did come across more as just fake troll content as a standalone project. I can appreciate the effort that went into this project, but I do think it would have been cooler if it wasn't intentionally so misleading. But I guess that sort of takes some of the fun out of the theming. Now, to its credit, I don't think SpongeBoy Ahoy specifically sparked all of the hoaxes that were prevalent during this era to begin with, but without a doubt it was a huge player in the space, and was probably a lot of people's first introduction to lost media hoaxes. During this same segment, we also talked about a lot of fake Me and My Friends content that was being posted in a similar way to SpongeBoy, with fake theme songs or photos from the set. In more modern times, I don't think faked content like music or photos would be so easily believed without getting the full context of their source. The next topic is sort of a deep cut if you've been in the Lost Media community for a while, but I definitely wanted to mention it here because it's sort of nostalgic in a way. This takes us all the way back to the old wiki before it moved to its own website, and back when there was more of an interest in obscure cartoon and television content. You might have heard about this topic before, and I've even talked about it before myself, but it's about a VHS tape series called The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald, a 6-episode series of cartoons that featured McDonald's characters animated by Klasky Csupo. They were released in the early 2000s and could be bought in the restaurants themselves, with 5 of the 6 episodes having been uploaded online at that point and were easily available on eBay, even back in 2015. But for some reason, the 6th and final episode of the series, called The Legend of McDonald Landlock, was not online, and you couldn't easily find a tape on eBay either. It was completely lost, but there was a desire to unearth it and get the whole set. This was even one of the first topics I came across on the old wiki itself back then, so I had a stake in getting it unearthed too. Now, I don't remember exactly how all of these events unfolded back then, but I'm pretty sure a bunch of us just gathered in the comment section of that old article and hoped that a copy would just show up. Really, there was no better way to get one at the time, other than searching through eBay listings. This was when a user by the name of Inkling Boy appeared and claimed to have the tape we were looking for and offered to get it online for the community. Even back then, sometimes just keeping topics alive and getting more attention on them was a key way in new content resurfacing. Except there was a problem in this case, as Inkling Boy did not immediately upload the tape right away. In fact, I don't think we even got pictures of the tape and only his word that he actually had it. But we were assured he